What's up? Welcome back to another video. Before we go any further, I just want to let you guys know that I'm going to be covering the main card for UFC Fight Night taking place in September 12th. I mean, we have a lot of different names. Specifically in this video, I'm going to be covering Ottman Azaitar against Khama Worthy. But I'm also going to be covering, Waterson, Modafferi against Lee, a lot of other fights. So if you're interested to check out those predictions, subscribe to the channel so you can be notified when I post. And let's get into this fight, because this is an extremely interesting fight. Ottman Azaitar, if I butcher his name, which I have in the past, let me know how to pronounce it in the description, please. Ottman Azaitar. Ottman Azaitar against Khama Worthy. So this is a fight that is definitely going to be extremely interesting to watch. Before I go any further, though, I just want to let you guys know of the odds. So specifically, Azaitar is actually the underdog right now at plus 110. And Worthy is actually the favorite at minus 137. With this being said, though, I know you guys were interested in the odds, so I always let you guys know ahead of time. But let's delve more into this fight. It's extremely interesting to look at. And the reason why I think it's so interesting and exhilarating is because these fighters have a very dynamic style of fighting. And so when two different dynamic styles of fighting clash together in the octagon, it's always interesting, because you never know how it's going to go. It could go either way. They both have a resume that, strongly supports the notion that they have an extremely strong finishing power. And, again, it goes to show that they have a really get in, get out type of mindset. They don't really want to play any games. If they can finish the fight in the first round, that's what they're going to opt for. Get in, get out, get that bonus, go to the Bahamas and, chill out in some place. I don't know. My mind just went with that. I'm sorry. Okay, so why is Azaitar the underdog? The reason why I say this was, have you guys seen his knockout in his first fight of the UFC?
A lot of headshots already have landed for Ottman Azaitar.
Oh! Face first! Yeah, so the reason why I think Azaitar is seen as an underdog, despite the fact that he has an absolutely insane record, undefeated, 12 wins, 0 losses. He's also got 9 wins via knockout, technical knockout, which is absolutely ridiculous. But what we do have to say is that those, 11 of those 12 wins have actually not been from the UFC. They've been from other fighting divisions. This isn't to take away from the other fight divisions, but at the same time, you can't tell me that Fair FC, Brave Combat Federation are the same as the UFC. Again, really respectable divisions. A lot of fighters were made from these divisions, but the UFC is the UFC. So, with a fighter like Azaitar, the first thing that we know is that he doesn't have that much experience in the UFC. However, in that fight that he did have in the UFC, how did it finish?
Azaitar.
Oh! Yeah. That's how it finished. He fought in UFC 242 against Timu Pakalen. So just to give you guys some perspective, this fight took place in Abu Dhabi. And when Azaitar landed that right hand, I heard it all the way in Italy. So just to give you guys perspective, I heard that punch, and then I woke up and I was like, what was that? And then I went online and I looked up UFC latest fights, and I heard that. And it's just absolutely insane how a punch that hard can allow sound to travel at such a rate that you can hear it all the way in Italy. It was just absolutely ridiculous. I thought the fireworks went off or there was some party, but dude, it was one of the hardest punches I think I've ever seen in the UFC. I'm not gonna put it up there with Ngannou against Overeem, but dude, if you listen to the sound of that punch, it's just dude, it gives you the chills. You're like, holy shit, if this guy gets up, respect to that. Count that as a win, because if you survive a punch like that, respect must be given to you. Now, something that's even more interesting about, Azaitar's fight and that ridiculous knockout is the fact that he shattered his hand. He fractured his hand after he landed that punch, which gives me Cormier vibes. Which gives me Cormier vibes. But when a fighter that just goes to show. I mean, his nickname is the Bulldozer, and when you think of Bulldozer, you think of someone that just charges in and just He's willing to break himself to break you. That's exactly what he's about. The fact that he broke his hand on the face of his opponent. Like, that's something that can't be seen by every fighter, you know? So it's just, it goes to show that he's absolutely relentless. Like, he's willing to break his hand to break you. Like, that's just, he's a scary dude. And, like, there's no taking away from that. So, again, with a resume like Azaytar, we've seen the knockout in his UFC debut, which was absolutely ridiculous. You wonder why someone as savage as Azaytar is seen as the underdog in a fight like this. And so this leads me to Khama Worthy, his opponent. Excuse me when I say this, but Worthy is a fighter that is worthy of some respect. I had to say this, but he's managed to seal a respectable record of 16 wins and 6 losses. And in the past, I mean, he hasn't always fought in the UFC. In the past, he's dabbled into other divisions. Specifically, he's fought in Pinnacle FC, in 247 FC, as well as in other Fight Night events like Dana White's Contender Series, etc. And again, when you look at Khama Worthy, you notice as well that he is also relatively new to the UFC. He's had 2 fights since joining in August 2019. But with this being said, both fights were delivered in brilliant fashion as he won in a first-round knockout against Devontae Smith, who isn't just a random dude. And at the same time, he beat Luis Pena in a 3rd-round submission. So, again, I mean, both of these fighters with, who have a relatively new background in the UFC are both trying to make a name for themselves, right? So that's what makes this fight also extremely interesting. And at the same time, they're both extremely hard hitters. And we know that when 2 hard hitters share an octagon, we're going to see a knockout. Like, that's what I'm hoping for. Like, if I were to predict how this fight's going to end, it's going to hopefully be in a knockout. Who do I think is going to win for this fight? I think Worthy is going to win for this fight. The reason why I say this is that, Azaytar is an extremely dangerous fighter, which, it makes it difficult for me to just say, oh yeah, Worthy's going to win. Azaytar's never lost. We've seen his knockout power. Like, he's an absolute machine. But at the same time, I don't know, when I put him next to a guy like Worthy, who is a more versatile fighter, he can also, like, submit you. He's got the reach advantage. These are all things that in a fight I think do play a role. I mean, we saw specifically Khama Worthy's guillotine in his latest fight where, he was tackled to the cage and then he managed to get a grip and then he just continued to lock that guillotine. And so, again, this is also something that he has in his arsenal that I haven't seen often from a fighter like Azaytar. And so this, I think, will definitely play a role. Play a role. Yeah, there was also a statistic that, convinced me and that I think could potentially convince you guys as well from DraftKings. And it basically said that, he averages 4.44 significant strikes. I don't know what a .44 punch is or advocates to. Probably hurts from a guy like him. But he gets around 4 significant strikes a minute, which is an absolutely admiring statistic. A significant strike is a strike that could potentially change the way a fight's going to go. So imagine being hit extremely hard 4 times in a minute. It goes to show that, Worthy is also a fighter that's extremely dangerous. But having said this, he's going to have to watch out for Azaytar's overhand, right? The only way that I see Azaytar taking this home is by knocking Worthy out. But again, I feel like with a fighter like Worthy, who also has more fights under his belt, I think he's going to have the ability to sort of, time his positioning, his feet positioning, and make sure to stand in a way that, I'm not saying he's going to stand on the blind side of Azaytar, but I think he's going to be able to evade those punches and not put himself in a position where he could get hurt by one of those relentless hits of Azaytar. Another thing that, Worthy needs to worry about is the fact that of those 6 losses, 5 have come from knockouts. So this is something that, also makes me rethink my decisions sometimes. But, he's been knocked out 5 times before. If Azaytar does it again, it's going to lead to 6 total losses via knockout. But I don't know. I think Worthy's got this in the bag. But Azaytar could definitely flip this over in the heat of the moment. You know, like it's just, that's the beauty of the UFC. You never know exactly how it can go. We've seen so many upsets for whatever circumstance, whatever scenario. But I personally think that Worthy's going to win this fight. But I'm interested to know what you guys think. So comment down below who you think is going to win. Could Azaitar potentially break Worthy's face? Or does Worthy have this in the bag? At the same time, if you like these fight predictions and you're interested to see more to come, I've got more to come. So subscribe to, be notified when I post to see those predictions as well. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this fight. It's going to be extremely interesting. And yeah, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And if you do subscribe and I see you guys in the next video, then I'll see you guys in the next video.